So hi, welcome to the Good Noise Podcast. I'm Shane,
I'm Glory.
and we're here with
Joey from the Used. What's
Right.
up, guys?
we're gonna ask him some questions today. I'm gonna start. So, what inspired you to kind of get into music, and how did the opportunity to join the Used come about?
Oh man, those are two big questions wrapped
Yeah.
into one really quick question. I got into music because my older brother was super into performing. Much like kind of everything else I did as a kid, I followed in my older brother's footsteps.
Aw.
So when he played baseball, I had to play baseball. When he played football, I had to play football.
Mhm.
You say, but I did it because I wanted to be better than him.
Oh.
Were you?
But I
Yeah,
can
were
do
you?
this better than you. Yeah. He's 5 years older than me, but yeah, he got into music and joined a band when he was a kid, when he was in like ninth grade. And I was 5 years younger and kind of just peeking over the fence, watching him do his thing. And I got into it shortly after that. When I was in the sixth grade, I picked up guitar and never looked back.
Hell yeah!
Awesome.
And then the other question, also a big question.
Yes.
I joined the Used just over 3 years ago. They had a role that needed filling, and I was not in a band at the time, so I got an opportunity to audition and went and jammed with the guys, and it went super well. And in the blink of an eye, we put a record out, and we've been been doing our thing for the last few years, on top of their many, many, many years as a band.
Hell yeah!
Solid.
I love it.
So, how did you hear about that? Was it just like out in the open, like, oh, we need this spot filled, or did somebody tell you, like a friend of a friend?
It was kind of like through the grapevine kind of thing. Like you
Mhm.
always hear whispers of what's going on. That's kind of something that I've always done in my career in this industry is kind of just, bob and weave with wherever I'm needed, wherever I can fit in and help. So I
Mhm.
heard that they needed a guy through some super random sources, we'll say.
Yeah.
And yeah, it just kind of played itself out. It was really cool.
All right.
That's awesome. Glad you got that opportunity.
Yeah, me too. Thanks.
So congratulations on your newest release, Heartwork. It's been
Thank
out
you.
for a year now. How do you feel the response to it so far?
It's been really cool. Obviously weird being home for a year on a new
Mhm.
record. We've all been talking about it forever. We're not used to this, but it's been a really unique experience to get to connect with fans and kind of be more available for the behind the scenes stuff and getting to do more podcasts and just talk about it and expand that horizon. So it's been really cool. People have loved the have been saying they love the album. It's been very positive. I haven't seen too many negative things. I have seen it, which is good. You got to see the negative. But
Yeah.
people have mostly been really positive about the record, and I think I kind of think the lyrical content lent itself very well to the situation that we've been in the last year.
Yep.
And that's not something that we set out to do. I mean, we finished the record before all this came to light, but music has a way of doing that. Art has a way of doing that. And the world kind of presented us with this problem that I felt like this record fit in very well to. So
Mhm.
I'm honored to have been a part of a record that people got to sit with and really dive into for the last year.
Yeah.
Definitely.
It was one of my favorite records of last year, and I'm glad you guys dropped it when you did, and not like decide to hold on to it, because it gave something to
Yeah.
listen to while we were all locked
that was
inside.
a conversation. I mean, it's hard, we had a lot of big plans for touring and things that we wanted to do around promoting the album. But ultimately, I think, we stuck with our initial plan. The record came out when we had said we wanted it to come out. So, and I'm glad we did. I'm glad people got to live with it, and we'll try to get out hopefully later this year and definitely next year and go play these songs.
Oh yeah.
Definitely.
So as we mentioned, you guys did release this at the very beginning of the pandemic. What was it like navigating through that album rollout when you guys have never done anything like that before, and without like shows, live streams, really anything?
Well, it kind of hit us out of nowhere, because we had just finished a tour right as the lockdown happened. We were on tour still in March, and we had a couple songs already out, and the record was getting ready to drop, and we basically were like, all right, guys, see you in a month, to start the new tour.
Mhm.
We go home and we hear that it's going to get moved a little bit. So we're like, no big deal. Record's about to drop. We'll be on tour a month after the record drops. It'll be fine.
Mhm.
So we kind of didn't even get the opportunity to pivot one way or the other. Anyway, we just kind of like went home, and then we still haven't seen each other since. So That's been
wow.
really crazy. But we've also done a lot of fun things since we've been home. We've done a lot of really limited edition merch drops, and we've got to do a lot of really creative things with fun artists, and we dropped a couple of videos, and yeah, we've done what we can, just like anyone else.
Yeah.
Definitely. All right. So you guys actually have 4 features on this album. How did those come about?
We were working with a lot of different people, co-writing songs throughout the whole process at Feldman's house. Yeah, I mean, the features just kind of felt their way into the whole thing so naturally. I mean, we wrote some songs with Mark Hoppus, and it just made sense when he sang the part. It made sense, and he was stoked to do it too. So obviously honored to have him on a song. Same thing happened with Travis. You know, Travis came in and helped work on the song that we did with JP Clark as well. And yeah, it just made sense. It was like, dude, you contributed this much, let's have you play on the song. And those two were great. Caleb, obviously Caleb from Beartooth, we had reached out to him. They were on tour, and we were in the studio working on the record, and we kind of had a timeline that we needed to get to really quick. And reached out to Caleb, and he was super excited. He ended up doing it like the day or so after we sent him the track. Whoa. And he recorded his part backstage before he went on stage to play a show.
Wow.
Which is like psycho. You don't do that.
Yeah.
Caleb would do that, and he probably crushed that show too. Yeah, he's an animal. But yeah, the features were insane. It was such an honor to have so many talented people play on our album, and working with Feldman on the record was crazy, and super proud of these songs. I think they all, individually, each one of the songs really has its own life and has its own world built around it. So super proud.
Hell yeah.
As you should be. It's a banger.
So can you tell me just a little bit about the writing process for this record in general?
Yeah, I mean, it was, for me, obviously my first album writing with The Used. I was really interested to see how things were going to go. I've been writing one way for the last 20 years, and it's not the same way that John Feldman writes, so yeah. Getting in the room with him was like the coolest thing in the world. I've been a fan of this band forever. I've been a fan of so many bands that Feldman has produced. So to get to kind of be a part of it at this point was such a cool experience in its own. But yeah, as far as the writing process, we would show up to John's every day with nothing. We would just kind of like walk in blank slate and, pick up either an acoustic guitar or sit down at a piano or just, kind of start chatting about our morning or whatever it is. And then something would inspire us and a song would start to take form, just with like, playing a few chords on the acoustic, playing some chords on a piano, kind of humming a melody. And then like magic, it just kind of like one spark would happen and we're off to the races, and the crazy thing with writing was, we would start writing the song in the early afternoon and by the middle of the night, the song is pretty much finished, lyrics and melodies and everything recorded. And, after that first day, we're just kind of cleaning the song up, but it's written and it's recorded. And it was something that was inspired in that moment and that day. And, once it was there, we didn't want to mess with it. So that was a very unique experience for me. First time I've ever done stuff like that. And it was, we wrote 100 times cooler songs than I've ever written before. So
yeah,
totally knows what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. As you mentioned that this is your first album that you've written with The Used, was it difficult kind of finding your spot in that writing process, or did it all just kind of happen naturally?
It was pretty natural. I was pretty nervous in certain situations coming in. They've been doing this together for a really, really long time.
Yeah.
I didn't want to mess anything up. So, but yeah, I mean, about a year before we started recording the record, we had kind of been working on stuff. The band would fly out here to San Diego and we would work at my studio and just kind of practice recording songs and working on little pre-production ideas. So we kind of worked through all the growing pains during that time. And by the time we got in with John, it felt like I've been in the band forever and we all communicate really well. And it was honestly one of the coolest experiences in my life. And as bros, like we got real close and we went through a bunch of highs and lows in the studio, and it was definitely an experience I will never forget, for sure.
I love that.
Awesome. Yeah. So can you tell me where your headspace was at while you were creating this record?
Oh man, we were in a lot of different places. You know, I think there's a certain level of these songs that, you know, relate really personally with Bert and experience that he's going through.
Mhm.
You know, but I think it was for the four of us, it was kind of this like giant therapy session, you know, a bunch of old dads getting together to make a record. And I think we got to like, you know, step outside of our lives a little bit and evaluate the really good things and the really bad things. And those conversations and those like bro downs, so to speak, before we would start writing a song each day, I think really influenced each song individually. And you can tell when we were having a really happy day and we were just like, you know, we're going to write a pop song today. And you can tell when we were having kind of a dark day, dark week. And, you know, that's something I think is so important with art. And we were blessed with an opportunity to capture it with all these talented people in the moment, you know, and really all you have to do is just talk and engulf yourself in the emotions of what you're going through in life, like we all are, and then just capture it. So yeah, it was for me where I was at was, you know, a kid in a candy store, a bit overwhelmed with, you know, just life in general, like new dad joining this band, getting to do all of these amazing things. I think I was extremely appreciative and a little bit in the beginning, I think I was a little tentative with getting super involved, which I think was a good thing. You know, by the end of the record, I felt really like I was a part of the team, and the songs kind of follow that journey too. So
that's awesome.
I'm so happy to hear that you fit in, you know, it wasn't like a bad process. It wasn't like clunky, like getting you to fit in.
No bad vibes.
No
all
bad
good
vibes.
stuff. Yeah, they're like my brothers now. It's really cool. Love those guys.
Good.
So what song on this record is your favorite and which one took the longest to come together?
Ooh, I will, let's see. It's kind of been like this recently. I'll default to kind of my OG favorite right now has been The Lighthouse. I just love how that song came together. I think was really cool. You know, I was kind of just sitting in the back of the studio after we had lunch, and I picked up the acoustic guitar and I just kind of started playing a riff, and Feldman walked in and was like, oh, that's a really cool riff. Let's just record that real quick so we have it, you know. And I just walked in the studio, we tracked this riff real quick, and then you know, Mark and Bert walked in and everyone just immediately was like, oh, I have some ideas, here's where this should go. And it just kind of took off and took form so fast. And you know, that was such a fun experience writing that song with Mark Hoppus, you know, because he's like, it's Mark from Blink, you know, we're gonna write some fun, cool, happy, quippy song. But what we did is write a really deep song and something that really resonates, and I love that. And I'm glad we got to have him sing on that song. It was really cool. But that's been one of my favorites. I think it's just stuck in my head all the time when I'm you know, raking the leaves or whatever I'm doing. I just get that one in my head.
The dad chores.
Last you, dad chores, exactly. You know, dad stuff. And then the longest to come together, that's an interesting question. I want to say that Bloody Nose might have been one of those songs where, you know, I think at first when we wrote that, I think we were all kind of on the fence if it was something that we even liked. And I think the melody and the vocals, everything was completely different the first kind of like version of that song. And towards the end of the writing process, you know, when we were kind of going through B-sides and trying to figure out what we wanted to spend our time on, that was one of those that came up. Dan was super adamant. He's like, this has so much potential. We just need to fix it, you know? So, we ended up, I think, reworking the majority of that song, and it turned into one of my favorite songs. And it was something that before we, you know, redid the whole thing, it might not have made the record. It might have just kind of been like, oh, we kind of missed it a little bit. Maybe we'll write another one. But Dan was like, no, like, let's really focus on this. Let's see what we can do. And it turned into a really, really cool song on the record. One that I think we'll be able to play live, and that'll be super fun live. And yeah, but there's so many songs on the record. I mean, I could say that about a lot of stuff, you know. Was there 48 songs on the album?
I wish. So I got a couple follow-up questions. You brought up B-sides. Are there any plans to release any of those?
Nothing that I know of. So that doesn't mean that there isn't. But No, I haven't heard anything about that yet. I know we want to get back out and start playing some shows and get a chance to promote this record a little bit, but you know, there's always new music coming.
All right.
Not sure when, but there's always new music coming.
Sometime soon. And then, do you have a favorite lyric off this album by chance?
Ooh. Oh man, you should have prepped me for this one.
Sorry about
favorite
that.
lyric. Man, I honestly offhand I don't even know. My brain can't handle the question. It's just exploding with everything from the album right now. I will get back to you on that one, but right now I literally wouldn't even know what to say. Paradise Lost in Your Eyes is pretty darn good, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How about that? We'll stick with that. Paradise Lost in Your Eyes. I really like that.
Okay.
But to pick a favorite lyric is so tough. I mean, to be in the room and to be a part of watching the record come together and these songs and these lyrics and the stories and how we got from A to B is such an incredible experience. So each lyric to me holds not just like a meaning within the song, but it really does hold a memory of getting to make the record. So, I mean, that's a complex question with zero answer, but that's my answer.
You were skating by too eady. I had to drop one like that. And since you brought up like each one holds a memory, what's one of your favorite memories from creating this record?
Man, there were so many like, there wasn't necessarily big moments and big like, man, that's crazy that happened kind of things. But I think just the ultimate bro downs all the time. And sister downs too. I mean, there was a bunch of people in there, but just the camaraderie of making a record and kind of the vibe that everyone had the whole time was so strong and posy. You know, it was just like, it really did feel like, you know, that feeling when you're a kid and you go to camp and you come home from camp and you just feel like you're revamped and you're just like, all right, I can take on the world. I just needed like a refresher. Like making this record, you know, with a bunch of you know, all of us are these like broken men and we get to go out and pour out our emotions and things that we don't generally get to do as like dudes. To get to go do that together for a month, 2 months and record it and capture it and then share it with the world is such a cool experience and cool like vulnerability that not a lot of people get to experience. So, I mean, his favorite memory is genuinely just driving up every day and pulling up into John's house at 1:00 and seeing the other 3 dodos in my band standing there by their cars and we walk up and, you know, getting ready to make our rock and roll record and just the simple things, man, just getting to see everyone every day and shooting hoops in the backyard and then making songs that we get to share with the world forever. So
I like that answer.
That's very wholesome. God, all right.
Be wholesome. I gotta be tough guy one of these days.
Nah. So while listening to the record, what band or artist influences pop out the most to you?
Ooh. I think I was listening to a lot of Bon Iver while we were making the record. Kind of a lot. And I have like this weird playlist of just awesome vibey songs that I kind of had on repeat the whole time. But influences is tough because I feel like every day, you know, when you pick up a guitar and you're trying to write something from scratch, it's like something subconsciously has definitely crept its way into my brain before I start playing some sort of chords. I'm not sure that like I was kind of being influenced by anything directly while we were making the record, consciously anyway.
Yeah.
But you know, I not a ton of album listening while you're making the record either. You know, it's kind of like if you're not in the studio creating, you're sleeping. So but yeah, I know Jeff had a lot of like weird jazz on that we would bump like to and from the studio. That was a trip. And you know what? I want to say that we listened to some pretty crazy Spanish stuff that may have had some influence on a couple of the songs that we did for sure. Now the record's getting old. I can't remember all of these answers, but yeah, man. I mean, every day it was just like working with some new writer that has some new background and whatever we threw together was just like the weirdest thing we would have never come up with on our own anyway. So just influenced by everything and everyone and depending on the weather that day even, you know. So.
Yeah.
Well, I was not expecting you to pull out Spanish music and jazz and
Jazz.
cite those.
Well, Jeff has the most eclectic taste in music ever, and everything he shows me is wildly interesting and unique and cooler than anything that I show him, for sure.
Yeah. Definitely keeps everything fresh.
Yeah, Jeff's a fresh dude.
So is there a certain feeling you want your listeners to have while going through this album?
All of them, every single one of them. You know, I think that's the idea of music, right? Like, especially with the Used and our family and our fans, I think a lot of us are, you know, rebuilding, you know, coming from a broken past of some sort and trying to rebuild and using this community as a family to do that. So I think with every Used record, even, and this is my personal experience growing up being a fan of the band, but when you listen to a Used album front to back, like, it's a journey, not just for your ears. It's not just ear candy, but I mean, if you really dig into what's being said and talked about is so personal and so, you know, deeply meaningful on a lot of levels. So I would expect every emotion to be had when listening to our records. And that is definitely a pretentious answer, but I think I stand behind it. You know what I mean? This band, that's the idea. The idea is to really pull at your heartstrings in every different way and get you to think about, you know, what's important.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, you guys have like a legacy, so having a pretentious answer is like,
Exactly.
it's completely okay in this regard.
Yeah.
You earned it. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, you earned it.
I love it.
So this one should be super, super fast. Off the top of your head, I want you to describe this album for new listeners in 3 words.
Woo.
Mm-hmm.
I will say
Okay.
anthemic.
Okay, that's good.
I will say.
Yep.
This is tough. You guys have tough questions. All
Thank
right.
you.
Anthemic, I will say that it is questionable,
Okay.
and I will say that it is a staple.
Ooh,
All right.
those are good. I can
Oh.
respect those.
I like
Good?
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Those
good.
are good, huh?
That's good.
All right.
Good job on
I
that.
feel good. I stand behind it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So you're in another project, A Static Lullaby. You joined for the reunion shows in
Oh.
2016.
Did you forget?
I did play. I did a couple tours with that band. Yeah,
Okay.
I did it with them. I played bass, and that was a lot of fun. Yeah, those are buds for sure.
Is there anything else
It's still
coming out of
going?
there?
That's still a thing? I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, I'm the last guy to ask what's going on in that camp, but as far as I know, I don't know.
All right.
Okay.
We
That
just
was a
figured
lot
we'd
of
ask
fun.
about something other than the Used.
Yeah, I didn't want it to just be
Yeah,
these.
no, of course. Yeah. I mean, I do a lot of weird stuff. I manage bands. You guys know The Undertaking.
Mhm.
Yeah, there we go. Bands. I work with them. They're awesome.
Fans. Yeah,
We got some
love
questions about
fans.
management a little bit later down.
We do.
Cool. Carry
Right.
on.
So do you have any pre-show rituals?
Ooh, we do. We end up playing the entire set that we're gonna play that day. We play the whole set before we go out on stage. So in our dressing room, we have these little practice amps and little practice drums and the whole thing, and we will play the whole thing start to finish, and make sure that we're tight and we got everything that we want to do. And yeah, and then what do? I don't know. I put my in-ears in. I do some push-ups. We give each other a big hug, and we run out on stage and freak out and lose our minds, black out.
So you guys pretty much play 2 shows every single day, except
Yeah.
one isn't
Yeah.
as energetic.
Yeah. It's kind of something that we started to do when I joined the band. When we first started, I kind of just wanted to make sure that I wasn't going to blow it for a little bit. And so we did that. We planned on doing that for a couple weeks, and then we never stopped. And it's turned into something that I super look forward to. Everyone will get in there at different times to kind of jam. And then, yeah, we'll go through the whole set like an hour before we play. We'll kick everyone out of the dressing room and just the boys and get ready to play, focus up, and then go rock and roll.
I love it.
Wow. All right.
So what are your top 3 songs to perform live?
Ooh, I love playing I Caught Fire. I love playing Taste of Ink because it's rare that we play that song and the crowd isn't louder than us. You know what I mean? That's just a crazy experience. And then lately, I'll say Blow Me and Paradise Lost.
Yep.
Since they are the new songs that we were getting to play there at the end. Those were both so fun to play and went way harder than I expected. Having the song had just come out and people were losing their minds. So yeah, those ones are super fun to play. But a bigger answer is literally every one of the songs. The Used doesn't have a bad song. They're all so fun to play.
That's the best answer.
Exactly. Yeah.
And also the cop out.
Yeah. Oh, I'll cop out hard.
So you've been on the road for a long time. What is your favorite tour memory?
Oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot. I mean, my first 5 years or so in this industry, I was a merch guy. I was selling t-shirts for a bunch of different bands. So, I mean, I did a few Warped tours where, we're loading in at 7 a.m. and we're out there till 8 or 9 p.m. every day. And, there's a lot. I mean, I worked with a band called Seosin for a long time, a band called Dredge. I worked for Thrice for a while. All these bands that I think selling t-shirts and getting to make these memories kind of as the fly on the wall really influenced me where I am now, and getting the opportunities I did to eventually play with the Used, I think comes from being the little kid in the background with all these cool rock star guys that I just was lucky enough to sell their t-shirts.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, memories of selling merch was always awesome. Oh, here's one. Here, I won't cop out. I'll give you a real memory. When I was in Hell or High Water, which is me and Brandon Saller and Kyle Rosa from Atreyu, Neil Tiemann, Kyle Peak, John Hoover, Maldy. We got all these. There's like a million members. Anyway, we were on tour and we were opening up the Uproar tour is what it was called. And we were the first band of 10 bands. So we had to have 8 hours every day to play at 1 o'clock in the afternoon for whoever was there. But we were playing these crazy long drives every night and driving ourselves. And one of the nights we ended up crashing our RV on the way to the show. And it was really bad. Our trailer was like destroyed. We lost half of our gear. We had to like get a tow truck for everything. Everyone was okay.
Okay, good.
But I had to leave you hanging there.
It's okay.
Was okay. But we ended up having to take a tow truck to get the RV to the show. We bought a new trailer that day, cross-loaded the gear into the new trailer, got it to the show, and like ran on stage in time to play our set, so that we didn't like miss out on getting paid that day. But I remember that was one of those, looking back on it now, that was one of those like most punk rock moments ever, where we crashed and we almost all died and we still made it to the show and played the show.
Yeah, that's fucking insane. And lost half your gear in the process.
Yes, lost a bunch of stuff, but the tour was super, super gracious. They had a fundraiser for us, and they had that's like classic music world. When one of our own goes down, everyone picks up the slack. So that was a really cool memory across the board. Not cool to crash, not cool to go through that, but everyone stepped up and was super cool, and we made the show, so it's not that big a deal.
Yeah. Good. I'm glad it had a happy ending. It wasn't just gonna end up we crashed, everybody got hurt, and now I'm still here.
I forgot to mention real quick that everyone was fine. Our tour manager she got some bruises on her, and people were a little banged up, but ultimately everyone is okay.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Okay.
So picture this: you're on tour and you're at a gas station for a rest stop. What is your go-to snack?
Ooh, that's a great question. Sugar-free Red Bull. I'll definitely most likely end up snagging when I'm in there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big fan of the gas station sandwich. I know it's kind of dirt, but I've lived on them for a lot of years. I've been doing pretty good. But, that's also a tough question, because depending on where you're at in the U.S., some of these gas stations are like a 5-star restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I mean, you can go in there and you're getting a BLT at the gas station, So.
And it doesn't taste like shit.
Exactly.
No, not that bad. It's not that bad. I try to stay away from like the fast food option at the gas station.
Mm-hmm.
It's always like a no-no for me.
Yeah.
But a good sandwich, good Subway stop, always a safe option. I think safe is the key word when you're at a gas station on tour.
Yeah.
You got to be careful what you eat, because you're living on a bus, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So something mellow like a sandwich is my go-to.
All right.
Definitely not the seafood.
No seafood. No, I do know guys that'll eat sushi anywhere in the world, and it always vibes me out. Gas station sushi, not okay.
No.
Yeah.
Not when you're on a bus together. Not
exactly. Yeah.
It's not for me, man.
No.
No. You can hang yourself out the window, please.
Yeah. So as you mentioned before, you have a management company. What inspired you to start that, and what is your favorite part?
What inspired me to start it is one of my oldest friends, Cove Reber. He started a new band called Dead American, and he and I have worked on stuff forever. We used to play in a band together when we were in high school, and he was trying to get it off the ground, and I was just kind of started helping him anyway. So it just kind of turned into, he was just like, oh yeah, Joey's my manager now. So like, okay, I guess I'm a manager. And then, yeah, it kind of snowballed from there. And I started working with Dragged Under, who's, not only one of my favorite bands in the world, but, a band that's doing really well in the industry. And they're getting ready to do another album right now and doing really well. Got a bunch of cool tours coming up. They're killing it. I love managing a band that's like my favorite, which honestly, all four of the bands I work with, Dead American, Royal Tusk, Dragged Under, and The Undertaking, are quite possibly my four favorite bands.
That's awesome.
It's really cool. It's like good. All of my favorite parts of heavy music, they kind of hit out of the park with each one of those chapters. So check out all four of those bands. You're going to love them.
Hell yeah.
Okay, good. I'm glad that you love who you work with, because if you like hated one of them, that kind of sucks, because you're kind of stuck with them.
Yeah. I've been fortunate enough to, get to play in this band and do a couple other things. So, managing, it takes a lot of time, and I'm a dad, and I run a studio, and I do a bunch of other stuff. So I have the luxury of getting to work with only bands that I really believe in, and good people to work with too. A bunch of good guys in all those bands. Don't tell them I said that, though.
We won't.
Oh, of course, yeah.
So how do you think your experience in bands has helped, like, with your management?
Oh, it's invaluable. I mean, a lot of the bands I'm working with are younger and doing a lot of things for the first time, or just kind of like getting to level 2 or level 3. And it's stuff that I've been fortunate enough to have gone through on my own and on my own journey and working for other bands. So yeah, that's been huge. I mean, I love taking a band that's kind of never been on tour before and getting everything ready, getting the van ready and practicing the set and making sure we're not going to go over our time. And so kind of everything. I mean, from the development side all the way up to, supporting really big tours and bands trucking it and doing well at radio. I really enjoy all of it. It's having been in a band has given me all the information that I could ever want. And if I don't know the answer, which I oftentimes don't, I just call one of my friends from the last 15 years of doing this. So I'm very lucky.
That's good. Very happy to hear that again. So are there any new projects for The Used coming up? Are you guys working on anything? Are you writing? Is there anything in the works?
We've kind of just been chilling this whole pandemic. We're spread out all over the world. We're in different continents and stuff like that. So I know that we're trying to get back to doing shows as soon as possible. So I think that's kind of the next thing that is on the horizon. And hopefully we hear more about that. I don't know. I just want to do something. I'm in your same boat. I want to do stuff for you guys too.
So, like, are you just kind of kept in the dark here, and they just kind of tell you, right? Like, you find out when the announcement goes out, or
we kind of just don't have much going on. It's so tough when we, without being in the same room ever, it gets real tough, And I know everyone's dealing with that right now, and we've found all these creative ways and using Zoom and all this fun stuff, but it gets a little more complicated. Bert's in Australia, and we're on opposite schedules, and we got
time zones.
There's like 1 million hours spread between from where Jeff and Dan and Bert are and all of us. So, once kind of the floodgates open and we can get back in a room together, I'm sure we're going to do everything, play shows, write music, do the whole thing. So stoked that we put a record out a year ago, stoked that people still get to enjoy that. And hopefully we'll get some fresh stuff coming in the near future.
Yeah, it would be very devastating if you guys didn't go into the pandemic with like an album recorded and ready to go out, because then you'd just be radio silent for like a year.
I know, we'd be toast.
Yeah,
we're in good shape. We're stoked.
Hell yeah.
Okay, good. You guys are just taking a well-deserved nap.
That's right. I mean, they haven't stopped in 1 million years, and I haven't stopped in 1 million years in my own right. So it's been nice to be home for a little bit. A little different, but it's been good.
Yeah.
Good.
So where do you see your management company and The Used in the next 5 years?
Ooh, well, hopefully my guys, hopefully all these bands and my homies keep doing their thing. I mean, they're writing great music, so as long as people can connect with it and people like it, and there's a nice spot in their lives for these bands, I think there's no reason that they can't continue to make art and impact people and play shows around that stuff. That's what I hope for all of them. I'm just fighting to make sure that they can continue to make music and fighting for people to hear it, because I know everyone's going to love the stuff they're doing. So I don't have any sort of set goals for the company or for these bands. I just want to see them be as successful as they want to be, and I'll do everything I can to help them there. And then the Used, I mean, probably playing a show in Mars within the next 3 years. We'll be headlining over, I don't know, Daft Punk reunion. That's what we're doing in 5
I would
years.
shit my
Love
pants.
to see it. Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna bring out Daft Punk to support us on the Mars tour.
I would
Of course,
fucking
yeah.
lose it. For your management company, are you planning on just kind of keeping it to the 4 bands, or are you still kind of scouting talent, looking to pick up new bands?
I don't have any rules, really. I mean, honestly, I started with one band that I loved, and with no intentions of growing that. I'm now working with 4 artists, all of which are full-time and crushing it, and they all work really, really hard, and I fit in where I can. So I think if a band resonates with me, I have a hard time not getting involved. It's a problem. My wife has told me it's a problem that I have. So yeah, man, I love helping bands, and I didn't have a ton of help when I was really young. So when I get behind something that I think is genuine and authentic, then if I can lend a hand, that's where I like to fit in. That's my management company. I'm not here to change anyone's life. I'm just here to help, kind of guide, and stoked to do it.
Hell yeah.
So for the last couple questions, we're actually going to shift away from music, if that's okay with you.
Let's shift.
Sick. So we're going to go straight to death row.
Boom.
Man.
So if you're on death row, what would your last meal be with a drink?
Ooh, there's a pizza restaurant here called Upper Crust.
Okay.
And it's like my childhood most nostalgic meal. And their lunch special is a slice of pizza and a salad and a soda. And it's the simplest thing. It's my favorite thing in the world. I would definitely have a slice and a salad and a Dr. Pepper.
Dr. Pepper.
I love
Solid.
that. That's
I
making me
respect
hungry.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's got to be dinner time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my death row for sure. Upper Crust, number 1 lunch special. Go check out Upper Crust if you're in Vista, California.
Perfect.
Solid.
So if you could live in one fiction world for a week, where would you live?
Whoa, one fiction world?
Yes.
Yep.
Dang, that's a good one. I love oh man. That is so good.
Stumped.
This is so tough. I'm now in a rabbit hole. Where do you guys live? You tell
Peaky
me.
Blinders.
Diary of Wimpy Kid.
Dang, those are both so random.
They are, yeah.
Super
They are.
random. Let's see. I would. Why is that the toughest question anyone's ever asked me? I feel like it's so important to have the right answer.
It is, yeah.
Will it make it better if I tell you that there isn't a right answer?
I know there's not a right answer, but there is for me. You know what I mean?
Okay,
Yeah,
fair
that's
enough.
I would love to be in any future world, even just straight up like Back to the Future. What is it, 3?
Yeah.
Or Bill and Ted? Like, let's jump in a phone booth and go party in the future, party in the past. Let's go with Bill and Ted. How about that?
Okay.
I want to party with Bill and Ted for a night and go check out all of history. That sounds tight.
All right.
That sounds pretty cool.
We've never gotten that, so thank you.
Well,
Yeah.
good. It took me 10 minutes to think of that. So we're good.
That's fine. So I have the honor of asking the last question. Every single person we've spoken to has actually said it is the most important question.
Okay.
What is your favorite color?
Ooh.
Mhm.
Well, I would say black is probably my favorite.
Okay.
But if we were asking my 3-year-old daughter, she would say that my favorite color is blue, and she's decided that I can't use anything unless it's blue. So that's like an actual thing in our house. she gets upset about. But black is like, I like black head to toe all the time. Come on.
Fair enough.
That's
I'm,
adorable.
I'm glad your
Favorite color
3-year-old
thing.
daughter
How
is
about
pushing
that?
you around.
Yeah.
She's like, you can't touch that, Dad. That's pink. You can't touch
Exactly.
that.
You
gotta
can't
get the
touch
blue
it.
one.
That's
Blue
mine.
thing. Exactly. Yeah.
Add respect. He runs the house, so.
Yeah.
So as Gloria said, that's all the questions we have today. Is there anything that you would like to plug?
Your ears with awesome music for the rest of your lives. Dude, thank you guys for having me. Really appreciate it. That was fun.
Of course. Thank you
yeah.
for sitting down with us. It's been Joey from the Used and Really Good Noise podcast.